Welcome to the For Real Though Show. I'm your host, Christopher Keith. Hey, if you like us, subscribe to us at For Real Though Show at on our Yahoo channel, not Yahoo channel, our YouTube channel. I get all this stuff mixed up sometimes. Not a really techie person. So today, we talk a lot of really serious subjects on the For Real Though Show. But today, man, we're gonna have some fun. I got my homeboy on here. I'm gonna introduce him to you. He's actually a high school classmate of mine, and I interviewed
Awesome.
him back in 1983, 83, 84, when I was the assistant editor for the Lincoln Echo. It's our newspaper at the high school. So if anybody's got that, I love to get a hold of that. Probably Kevin Hopkins or something like that might have. Some of you old heads got all that stuff from back then. But anyway, I interviewed him because he's a boxer. He was a boxer, and he was and if I'm not mistaken, he's in the midst of training to in his attempts to become an Olympian. So he actually
Right.
did become an Olympian. He's a gold medal winner in the Goodwill Games in 1986, 1988 United States Olympian. That means that Jackie Joyner was not the only person at Lincoln going to the Olympics that time. We had two people in the
Right.
Olympics. 10-time amateur champion, 170 wins in 190 amateur bouts. Okay. Former North American bantamweight champion and two-time featherweight champion, Arthur Flash Johnson. Welcome to the
Thank you,
show,
man.
Arthur.
Thank you, man. This is such an honor to be here, man. And it's wow. I think about uh the graduation class of '84. How many years has it been now? 37 years.
Yes, yes. I
Wow.
came out a year after
Wow.
you.
Wow. So it's quite an honor, man. It's quite an honor, and to have done a story with you back in the day is quite an honor to see that happen, go full circle at the age where we are now. So it's quite amazing.
I tell you what, yeah, it was a big deal. I mean, it was a big deal. And before we get off the show, I'm going to introduce the people to some other things that you do that many didn't know about that I didn't know about. So they
Okay.
might notice the little man next to you. That's a special guest we also have that
Right.
I kind of expected he might be here. You told me he might be here. So tell us about the little man joining us.
Now this is my first grandbaby, Yakeem. Yakeem, and Yakeem has, he's usually with us on most weekends, and of course his last name is Grady, Grady.
Okay.
But he's usually here with us. Not only him, but he's got his little sister in there, so she's just about halfway, probably headed toward the nap. So
Okay.
if you
Okay.
hear any whining, it would definitely be her. But Yakeem is with me, man, most of the time. He likes to spend a lot of times at the boxing gym. He, whenever I'm giving instructions to the kids, he, follows up by saying, "Yeah, the same thing he said."
Man, that's great. It's
So
nothing like great kids. I got five of them, so I know
awesome,
all about them.
awesome,
They're
awesome.
so great. So no,
Yeah.
we glad to have Mr. Great here. Hey, go on and do your thing, man. Be great. Welcome. Is this his first public appearance like this on
This
video going
is
worldwide?
well. He actually was uh, got a chance to meet the governor about a week or so ago. So
Okay, well, see, he
he's
used to this here.
he's busy.
He's used to this. Okay, all right. Well, I ain't up there with the governor, so but I'm just glad. So now I'm just glad to have him on my show. You know what I'm saying? Since he be kicking it with the governor and everything. So, Chap,
Oh,
man,
it's
let's
a
talk
pleasure.
about your early days, man.
Sure.
Growing up in East St. Louis, man. What are your memories about that early on?
Oh man, growing up, I grew up in, of course, the city of East St. Louis, and it was what it was. I grew up, for the most part. I can remember most of my life being in the projects. We started off on Missouri Avenue, and then from there we moved to a couple of places. But then I remember probably my fondest memories were when I grew up in the projects of East St. Louis. And in fact, it was right across the street from the high school. So it
Wow.
was,
Okay. So you was in the Johnny
yeah, it was
Shields.
right, right, right.
Okay.
Well, actually, Johnny Shields was on the other side, and then John Robinson's was
John
was
Robinson.
uh,
Okay.
right across the street immediately. So that's kind of my funnest memories, or growing up in that time, man, and being uh, involved with, what the kids had going on at that time. And, I did a little bit of cross country and things like that, but my forte without question was, boxing. And that was the thing that kept me out of a lot of trouble,
Right. Well, how did
So,
you? Yeah. That's so. How did you become interested in boxing?
well, as the story goes, these two men by the name of James Hooks and Benjamin Stiff, they started a boxing program, which, of course, was located in the John D. Shields. So you had the John D. Shields, and you had that. So you had that little utility room where everyone came to pay their rent, and so they allowed the guys to use that, and they started the program off right there, and then it was four of us kids that would really stick to it. One was uh, Roger Williams, which is called Batman. The other was Cortez Dean, Rudolph Bradley, and of course myself, Arthur Johnson. We stuck with it, and we were able to go pretty far. But for the most part, I think we came a part of it because it was something different than what we were used to. Man, we didn't have a whole lot of things. I wouldn't say we didn't have a whole lot of things, because back in the day, we definitely had a whole much more than they do now. Yeah,
Mhm.
if you know what I mean. We just found, we made fun. Okay, we made
Yes, we
fun out of
did.
a
Yes, we
tire.
did.
We
Yes,
made
we
fun
did.
out of
Yes,
a
we did.
yeah. We made fun out of a cardboard box. We made fun. We
Yes,
just
we did.
created it. And but I think the thing that we enjoyed most about it at first was the traveling, because we got a chance to travel outside of East St. Louis and start going to tournaments and things of that nature. So that was the beginning of it, and it continued to flourish for me as I continue to move forward. And of course, the story is there's a little bit more that goes into the story, but it's a story um, that brings back a lot of fun memories, though. And I'm just happy that I had this chance to start off this career, um, and right in the place where I grew up, in the place where I lived. And these guys made it available, and so again, we went from there. And of course, things happen gradually.
Tell you what, you talk about how we made fun, man. My cousins, the Fields, they lived on 20th and Trindley, and back in the day, it was this big warehouse there, and they had all these crates, that they would pallets and stuff they would have out there, just mounded up, man. We used to take them things and build clubhouses with them, and then we used to have contests of running and jumping from crate to crate. And sometimes you're talking about 15, 20 feet up in the air, man. It
Wow,
wasn't
wow,
safe,
yes,
but we didn't
right,
know it wasn't safe.
right, right,
Yeah.
right,
We were just
right,
outside a lot of times in the summertime, man. And you couldn't go back in the house. You couldn't go in and out the house because they say, hey man, you letting the air out. You know what I'm
right,
saying? You letting the
right,
air conditioner
exactly.
out if you had air conditioning. So we be out there, man, and just stuck. We just making up stuff to do.
Right,
So,
exactly,
so
exactly.
you're right about that,
And
man.
and we found a lot of fun in that, man. I mean, forget about the danger. The danger wasn't even a thought.
Wasn't even a
I
thought.
mean, right. As I look back now, I said, how in the world did we ever do such crazy, insane things?
Right. No doubt about it, man. So as you were boxing, man, when was the moment when you said to yourself, you know what, I can really take this somewhere. It's like this
Probably
is
after
this is life changing.
Yeah, probably after the first few years. Most of my losses came early in my career, uh, because you're basically learning how to succeed. And
Hmm.
so most of those losses came early in my career. And after you learn to how to succeed, I probably uh, started getting really keen interest maybe after the first few years. That's why, uh, as a teacher now, I tell most parents it really kind of takes about 3 years for a kid to really decide what it is that they want to do. with this sport, because it just takes that, you have to go through those periods of growth and those periods of competing and setbacks and things of that nature to know that this is what it is for you. And so, after a few years, I just, uh, in my mind, made up that, hey, this is where it's gonna happen for me right here. And I just believed in it as a kid. I would take these long walks, man, and just imagine myself, man, being in the Olympics, or imagine myself winning national titles, imagine myself being a world champion, and imagining myself. And so, I speak from experience when I'm usually talking with these kids, and that is, if you can see it, you can be it. There's so much truth to that.
Absolutely, man. And so, and you won a gold medal in the Goodwill Games in
Yes.
1986, man. Where were those games held?
Those games were held in Russia, Moscow, Russia. It brings back a lot of memory again. Man, we must have spent, I don't know how many days over there, but we had to go over there to get acclimated. And so we were over there. Oh my goodness. I would say maybe a month and some days. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember. We're going back way
Mhm.
too
I know,
far.
yeah, I know.
But the memory of winning that gold medal was there. It's still here today in terms of the gold medal itself. It was perhaps a real big deal, of course, for the city at that time, because I had became the only non Soviet to win a gold in boxing. So it worked out great, man. It was an awesome experience, one that I definitely treasure and thank God for. Um, and it's great to reflect back on those things, because it was winning tournaments like that um, pushed me forward into a professional career.
Yeah, I tell you what, man, I remember being so excited then. And then, following your career, and even when you became an Olympian, man, I remember a very controversial decision
Yeah,
in that
yeah,
qualifying match.
yeah.
Oh, it was in Seoul, right? Was it in Seoul?
Right. Exactly. It was in Seoul. It was in
Yeah,
Seoul, Korea.
man, I remember, man, just heart broken, man, just
Yeah.
broken. Especially, sometimes, as a boxing fan, and I've been one all my life. I can remember seeing some things, some decisions in the pro ranks, and you'd be like, all right, that's a Don King
Right.
production or something like that, right? But in
Right.
the
Right.
amateurs, you know what I'm saying? You just like it should
Yeah.
be, it was such a purity to the sport from what I
Yeah.
what we grew up thinking. You know what I mean? I remember when
Right.
Sugar Ray Leonard, when I first started watching amateurs, it was in '76 when Sugar Ray Leonard was, fighting. And man, I just remember we were so devastated, brother. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine how it is for you to train and work as hard as you do. And you can look at the tape, and I'm as a boxer, you in the ring, you know what's going on.
Right. Right.
To
Exactly.
have a
Exactly.
decision, man, how man, did it take you a very long time to get over that?
It did. It did. It took me a very long time to get over that, man. A lot of people remember Roy Jones's decisions, and because Roy Jones' decision happened in the finals, mine was in the quarterfinals. You want to get down, buddy? Okay, I'm gonna let you down.
He's done.
All right.
He's done with me now.
Yeah. 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 So, uh, um, a lot of people remember Roy Jones' decision because it happened in the finals, but mine was certainly in the quarterfinals, and it was just kind of one of those things where they had a sit in, and there's so much stuff that's still out there about that Olympics. As a matter of fact, I had someone contact me a few months ago wanting to do a story on one of the most controversial Olympics of all times, and of course that was one of them.
Mhm.
But it was definitely hard to move forward after a decision like that. It happened after the sit-in. We had a sit-in because uh, the Koreans were upset because they got a loss, and then they had vowed that they were not going to lose another match. And of course, my fight would be the first one. After that, it was after me, having advanced to the quarterfinal rounds that this crazy thing would happen, and so it affected me for man, a lot of years. It really did. But as the older I got, the more I realized that it was an honor to to have participated in such great event, because at that level, man, anybody can win a gold. Anybody, because you at that level, it's very the skill set level is very tied across the board. Tied across the board. So if if you know if an inch can be given here or there, that's how much it's determined who wins gold or who wins silver, who wins bronze. I mean, bronze medalists could definitely be a gold medalist. So it's just kind of one of those things. And it took me a minute because it it definitely was something that affected. When you think about all the training, when you think about all the hard work you do, when you think about everything that went into it, and you to get to that point, and to lose a decision that you didn't really lose, it's a hard pill to swallow. But
Well,
yeah, you get
funny
over it.
thing about that, Arthur, is I agree with you, about the thin line. And then, also, man, you guys, didn't fight, a lot of rounds, but there was
Right,
always a quick
right,
turnaround. So you had to
right.
be, you had to be on, and you had to continually reset. But I'm not being a homer when I say, man, you dominated that fight. Like, seriously. Uh, I've
Yeah,
never been one to say, because it's my man, you know what I'm saying?
right,
I'm just
right,
gonna say you
right,
won. No, man, you dominated that
right,
fight. So to me,
right, right,
I'm like, oh yeah,
right,
all right. You know what I'm saying? I'm like,
right. Yeah,
I'm expecting your hand to get raised. You know what I mean? So I'm sitting there like, you know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
yeah, but no,
yeah.
man, I'm glad. I could imagine it took a while, man. So I'm glad you were able to move
It,
forward, man.
it
So
did.
when you talk
It did. And
about,
just
go
I don't
ahead,
mean
man.
to interrupt you, but
No, go ahead.
just to confirm what you were saying, a lot of my teammates didn't say it then, but they said it at our 30th, whatever it was, 32nd or 30th reunion. That Arthur, man, my goodness, I thought you were so robbed, and they did. It took them all them years to, to study, and I wonder why it took them so many years to say that. I guess when you're young, you think one way. Of course, as you get older, you realize that life is definitely a vapor for sure.
It is.
And
It is, man. So now you talked about traveling to Russia and again Korea, and I'm sure you've been to a lot of different countries. I'm a tourist
sure,
at heart, man, and there's a lot of places I still want to go that I haven't been yet.
sure.
So when you visit other countries like that, man, at such a young age, were you able to soak all that, different culture and those different experiences, man? Were you able to soak that up and really appreciate it, or was boxing so big that it was hard to, focus on that and enjoy it at the
Man,
same time?
yeah, it was difficult. I would say it was difficult because you were there on business, but I also tried to remember it as much as possible as I went up in age. In my early 20s, uh, I tried to inhale the moment. You know, um, I tried to inhale the moment, and I think I did pretty decent with that. I think now, of course, whenever I travel, if I'm traveling with the U.S. team or traveling with whatever, it's definitely a bigger, inhaling the moment,
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. We older now.
uh,
We be like, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Back then, like you say, it was definitely um, hard to kind of grasp those moments because you were there to compete, and while you were there to compete, and everyone has that competitive uh, or try to get that competitive edge by really kind of not thinking about certain things. And so the competitive edge, yeah, for me mainly was really kind of keening in and focusing on the guy I was going to be competing with. And I guess that's with everybody that was probably doing it at the time. So yeah, it was probably a little harder to enjoy that moment, to grasp those moments. But there were times when I realized, uh, that this is a moment that you need to inhale. You know.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, man. And you had so many, almost 200 amateur fights, and I remember
Yeah.
the only time that I would hear that many fights being amateur, it would be like a Cuban or something. You know what I mean? Like there was some great Cuban boxers out there that,
Right.
and
Right.
one of the advantages they had is they had such long, illustrious, amateur careers. So after that, man, how did you know when it was time to turn pro?
Well, I actually took that break after the Olympics.
Hmm.
I went into ministry and things of that nature, and was out of the sport for about 4 years, and kind of, hey, buddy, uh, kind of doing, uh, that evangelistical work, and taking a break at the same time. And so when I took that break, uh, it was a break that was needed because I had an injured hand, and things of that nature, and actually had done something that I don't think that had been done by an Olympic boxer, and that was to really retire after the Olympics, and then mount a comeback. I don't think I've read that anywhere, although that doesn't get mentioned very much when you think about the sports world and boxing. But that was something that I did. I actually literally retired and then mounted a comeback, and before coming back to be successful as a pro fighter.
Yeah, and as a professional man, I know you were trained by a legend, the great
Yeah,
Angelo Dundee.
yeah,
Uh, Most people know as training Muhammad Ali and Sugar Ray Leonard.
exactly.
Man, how did you guys link up?
Well, my coach, my trainer at the time, Jim Olenberg, said that, hey, if you go with anybody in this program, I want you to be with Angelo, because I think he understands long layoffs, and I think he understands what it's going to take for you to become the best that you can possibly be in this game. And so he wrote him a letter, and Angelo responded to that letter, and so he and I, my coach, went out to visit Angelo. And when he saw me and things of that nature, he looked at me and says, "You want to work with me? I want to work with you." And
Oh,
so that's
wow.
pretty much the way it went. And of course, our relationship lasted, to the day of his death. So um, it was, being in that family, being in that royal family of fighters like Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali. And of course, I probably had, some conversations with Ray Leonard on quite a few occasions, but Ali, I never sit down and had like a conversation, like we're having a conversation here. We were just family members, if you know what I mean. We were all in boxing family. He would come to see me fight. There were times that he would be there, and there were times where Dundee would be talking to him about me, and of course, talking to me about him. So we were definitely connected, and when Angelo died, he was, of course, at the funeral, and perhaps just sit, one row ahead of me, and it was packed with a lot of who's, in the house. But it was just an honor to be in a family, in a royal boxing family like that. And so, um, not many fighters get a chance to experience that sort of thing.
I tell you what, man, I got to meet Muhammad Ali. I like to tell the story. When they were building the Ali Center, they were just at the beginning. They had something called the Butterfly Ball in Atlanta, and it was to raise money for the center. And I got one of the lesser expensive tickets, but I had some friends up front that had the $5,000 tickets. So when I got there, they were like, "Oh, come on up here and sit with me," So I sat up there, man, and Andrew Young's on my right, Jesse
Mm.
Jackson's on my left, Lennox Lewis is behind me. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah,
so
yeah,
and so Muhammad had got up and spoke. After Layla spoke, he got up and spoke, and his disease had really fully
yeah.
set in. But I really wanted to get a picture with him, so I was hoping I could. So when he gets done, man, his handlers are getting him down, and I'm up there, man, in my tuxedo, but I'm like a 5-year-old kid, right? So I'm like, champ, can I get a picture with the champ? So his handlers were pushing me away, and then he stopped them, looked at me, and said, you know. So I came over there, man, and I had the camera in my hand, nobody to take the picture. So
Yeah.
Andrew Young was sitting there. I said, Mr. Mayor, would you mind taking this picture? He was like, sure, son, no problem. So we took the picture, man, and I show it, I sent it to you, man. It's
Awesome.
Muhammad Ali sitting there, man, and I was like, he was already a legend in my eyes anyway, but
Right.
everything they had said about him being so generous with
Yeah.
everybody rang
right,
true. You know what I mean? Because he didn't have to do that. They were perfectly willing to get him out of there. But you
right.
know, I realized that he stopped for me. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
I was just floored by his graciousness. So
Yeah,
yeah, man.
just a nice guy, and really strange to say this, even with me being in that royal family. I never got a picture with him, uh, and even though we were, boxing family members, that's some kind of one of the things maybe I should have made a very conscious effort to do. But I think the world boxing knows that we were connected. So
Absolutely.
in
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
sense, but having being with those guys, and like you said, guys like him really kind of showed you really how you want to be portrayed and how you want to treat people, because you want people to remember when they think of you, oh, what a nice guy, and so he really was an example of that.
Yeah, I think that's one thing about boxing, man, is you could be, you know, savage in the ring, man, and you could be a gentleman off of it. And I think that's part of what the attraction is because we want to relate as humans. You know what I mean?
Right.
Um, so you know, I'm sure you've had, you know, met a lot of great trainers, and obviously you worked with a great trainer. What was for boxing fans out there, man? What was special about Angelo? You know, what did he give you that was, you know, unusual that wow, you know, okay, that's the OG right there. You know, what kind
Right.
of things did he give you that really separated him?
A lot of wisdom, man. A lot of wisdom. Like, didn't feel the need to prove himself.
Hmm.
He didn't. I mean, it was already said and carved in stone, and it was already done. And there were some key things that he would share with me in the corner. There was some key things that he would share with me before a fight. And I remember one thing that that I take from him, and I still use today, even in my own training camp when I'm training the kids, and that is this: if nobody worries about who gets the credit, a lot will get done.
Mm.
So it's wisdom.
Hey man, that's a life lesson. That's a life lesson. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
Right,
bro,
right, right,
you just entered
right,
into a whole lot of conversations I have with my closest friends.
right, right, right. So his wisdom, and security in himself to know who he was, man. Key things that he would share with me about, in terms of just from a boxing standpoint, uh, it wouldn't have to be a whole lot of, because he knew I was already experienced. He knew I had already experienced a lot of wars, a lot of competition, and so those key things would be those little integral things that people might forget about. Like keeping them on the outside, boxing.
Mhm.
And boxing is a lot different from just slugging. you know, so
Yeah.
you
The
could
sweet science,
actually
man.
right. Say it again.
It's really a sweet, it's the sweet science, man. I mean,
It is. It
that's
is.
not a
It is.
cliche. It's not a
Right.
cliche.
It is. It is. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because when you're boxing a guy, the judges can clearly see who's winning those bouts. They can clearly see who's winning. One of the things that he would show with me in the corner when I came back from the corner, even if the round wasn't a great round, he would say, "You look great. You look awesome. You look beautiful,
Mm.
beautiful, beautiful." So that's the kind of things that I share with my kids, even if they're not doing what they need to do.
Hmm.
You talk them into looking beautiful by saying that you look beautiful. So
Wow.
that's his
Man, that's
wisdom.
good, man. You know, I watched some of your fights over this past week, and I saw one you had in 1999 with Jason Pyrus.
Yes.
And man, I forgot how crafty and deliberate you were. You know, always dictating the pace,
Yeah.
great in the body. You know, outstanding counterpuncher. Always
Oh,
putting
thank you,
pressure on
man.
your opponents, man. And you know, it seemed like you could fight on the outside, but you really love to fight on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah. For him, usually my style is, boxing guys, but with this kid who was undefeated and was looking to go further, up the ladder, and so they took the fight thinking that I was going to be a stepping stone, and so you have to be able to fight from every faucet. And so that's what I was able to do with that kid, and probably any kid that was perhaps like him. And so I had to change my game plan from boxing to becoming a crafty old guy at the time.
Man, that was, and that was what most impressive, because there was no way at his age and at your age he thought you would put the pressure on him like that. I mean, that's the kind of stuff Pacquiao does. You know what I mean? He's the
Yeah.
older guy. You put a young guy in there with him, man, and he's just got a barrage of punches coming at you, just constantly. You don't have time to really get set and get your game plan off when you have to react. And if you're not a great counter puncher, if you didn't train for that, if you're not ready for that, hey
Right.
man, before you know it, the fight is over.
Right, exactly. I mean, and this guy, Pacquiao, he throws punches from all kinds of crazy angles. They're
Yes.
coming from all kinds of crazy angles, and you just got to be ready. You have to bring what I've learned in this game, your lunch pail with you, because it's going to be a long night.
Hey, I was watching another fight, and the commentators were talking about your age, and they was like, "Hey, when is he going to start a new career?" And so they had you on like a little side clip, and you said something like, "Well, I can't start a new career because I haven't finished the old career. Arthur Johnson still has a lot to show and display to the world." And I thought to myself, man, I know y'all in that camp, man, with Sugar Ray. Oh, you got your own personality. I was like, man, he sounded like Sugar Ray Leonard. Hey man, was Ray an influence on your career like that, man? Because the way you presented, it was like, man, the confidence, the aura, the calmness, the
Mm-hmm.
calmness,
Mm-hmm.
just a beautifully quiet confidence, man. And this chip on your shoulder. You know what I'm saying? Hey, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not done. You know what I
Good.
mean? But Ray was like that. He didn't stick his chest out and say, "I'm not done." He was real quiet, Godfather like. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
So did he
Yeah.
influence you that way, man? Because I'm telling you, when I saw that, I just started laughing, because I'm like, man, it could be him or it could be Ray saying the exact same thing the exact same way.
Well, a lot of people, really kind of, compare us a lot. But actually, the most influence that Ray had on me was during my amateur career, because he was a part of the U.S. Olympic team for a short period of time.
Hmm.
And so he showed up at the camps and he worked with us. So, but in terms of my pro career, I wouldn't say as much. Uh, but he was around during the amateur times, and so and it's always a joy to see and say hey to Ray, even if we bump into each other on the street. But I would say his most influential deal with me was probably as an amateur.
Yeah, man. Look, Ray. One thing about boxing and black men, I could say, is like guys like Muhammad Ali, man, and Sugar Ray, they were like, when I was a kid, they were like our pride. You know what I mean? And I remember
Yeah,
at the time when he lost to Roberto Duran, I was in
yeah,
South Bend, Indiana, and we had a lot of Mexicans at the school, because a lot of them came from Chicago. And I remember, man, they was getting on our head, man, because Hands of Stone beat Ray, and
right.
that time it was on closed circuit, so it ain't like none of us got to see it, But I just remember going to school hurt, man. So then when Ray came back and beat him in New Orleans, man, we all the brothers came back to school. Was like, nah, no mas, no mas, no mas. We, hey Hector, no mas. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, but no, but seeing Ray on TV on them Sprite commercials with his son, the
Right.
smile. I mean, so boxers, they weren't just sportsmen. You know what I mean? For us, they were icons because they were a
Yeah,
positive image of black manhood. You know what
yeah,
I mean? Did,
right.
did you feel the same way, man? Because I know that's how I felt. That's how my friends felt, man.
Yeah, I think boxers that certainly before me, I became a student of the game, and I definitely watched them. My goodness, I certainly inundated myself with this information, most of the character, and I'll go back a little further than Ali and Ray. Sugar Ray Robinson was one that I really admired, and I really, took a liking to him. And I mean, it's just, the Floyd Pattersons of the world. I mean, being a student of the game meant that I needed to really kind of learn not only this sport, but what came with it, the responsibilities, things of that nature. And so I think I did a decent job doing that. And so I still think to this day that boxers, yeah, that we have a responsibility to, especially if you're a champion, you're in the limelight of your career. You're somebody that kids look up to. So I think you really want to certainly watch how you present yourself, before the public, because I think someone's watching you, someone's looking at you, and someone that admires you, and you don't want to get out the wrong notes, or put out the wrong message.
One of the things when you talk about being a student, one of the things I love to hear Mike Tyson talk about is the old boxing and the student, because he is a student. And he talk about cats you ain't never heard of, because showed him a lot of film, of a lot of different guys, and he could pick apart, their whole game. So yeah, man, I learned about like your Sugar Ray Robinsons. I learned about them as an adult. You know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
when I reference Ray and even Muhammad Ali being on TV, even doing, you know, decon commercials, you know what I'm saying? Kills roaches dead. Like that was a big deal to see those faces on
Right,
TV. You know what I
right,
mean?
right,
So
right.
who do you enjoy watching now, Arthur? Do you watch a lot of pro boxing now? And if so, who do you
Well,
enjoy watching?
yeah. Uh, if there's a big fights going on, I'm going to be in on it. And I just left moments ago because you mentioning Mike Tyson.
Hmm.
Mike Tyson is such a funny dude. And I haven't seen him for a lot of years. So he had a gang of respect for me. Whenever people say my name to him, it sort of like piques his interest. His eyebrows go
Hmm.
up. You're like,
Hmm.
hey, you seen him? When's the last time you
Yeah.
seen him? So, but anyway, Mike Tyson is definitely one of those guys that have a lot of memories about concerning the game of boxing. So to answer to your question, I watch the boxing matches with some of this new crew, uh, and try to continue to stay open and learn, because you're ever learning watching. And I think whenever you get to a point where I can't learn nothing from these young guys, then you might want to start looking at another, line of something else to do,
Hmm.
because that becomes a negative influence, because our current, uh, our current um, um, group of kids in this era is really watching the kids of their era. And so you've got to be able to, be with that, yet mixing the old with the new, if you will. And so I definitely try to find, some time when there's a big mouth, because I need to be updated. I need to be brought in the loop. you know,
Hmm.
yeah, need to
You
be brought in the loop.
so you so I know that you talked about training the kids now. Are you talking about locally? Because I know you're also involved with the United States Olympic
Yeah,
team. Yeah, tell
yeah,
us about the Olympic team, and then tell us about what you're doing, with the youth. Is that in East St. Louis? It's Metro East
yeah.
area or what?
That's in East St. Louis. I mean, before campaigning on this whole deal to become a part of the U.S. Boxing team as a coaching staff member, I started but I probably did that. As I'm thinking about it, I want to be accurate on this. Um, I reached out I became part of the U.S. delegation like in 2015, something like that.
Hmm.
And probably around about the same time, I was building my own local club, because I understand that if a kid's going to have those dreams, it has to start locally first. So uh, that's what we were able to do. When I say we, and I mean my wife and I, we started this the Arthur Johnson Foundation back in 2001. And from 2001 until to this point, we've been very, very busy with giving back to our community, giving back to the kids in the community. And my greatest joy is seeing a kid come from zero and go to 10. We've developed since we developed the boxing club. Now I think the boxing club has been existing for about 5 or 6 years. Because again, before then we were just doing the foundation and raising funds and things of that nature to give out scholarships to kids. And then we got a little bit more engulfed it as we headed toward 2012. 2012 or so. I said 2015 earlier, but as I think about it, 2012, 2011. And since now, the boxing club, we've developed, a Golden Glove champion, at least now for the last 5 years, I think. And I think I think that's huge because it gives these kids, something to look forward to. Um, Nobody can ever take that away from them. My hope is that is going to pass it on to the next generation, because this generation right now definitely need to have that experience in order to pass on that good stuff, man. That I think, as my wife put it, leaving a part of me uh, with the foundation and organization to carry on long after I'm gone. So, I guess in answer to your question, being a part of the U.S. Team is great, but I think being a part of uh, my local boxing commission is even greater, uh, because these kids are going to remember this, and I think the kids on the U.S. team is going to remember it as well. But I just I just think it's more important to give back, to your community, locally first, and it's okay to have those great ideas, because when we start to have those great ideas to do things with the U.S. team and stuff like that, a lot of that stuff is very political. You may not be selected, for one reason or the other, you know. And here locally, you don't have to be selected. You can just yeah. It's a lot easier. It's a lot easier than trying to go through a selection as part of the U.S. team.
Well, if a young man is interested in the area, man, how do they get in touch with you if he's interested and want to see if he would enjoy the craft of, boxing and competing,
Oh,
Arthur
we're
Johnson Flash way?
Oh man, we're so easy to be contacted. We're located on State Street in East St. Louis. Of course, State Street is the busiest street in East St. Louis.
Hmm.
Actually, 1721 State Street. But we're also in the directory. We're everywhere. Google us. And of course, our number is 618-857-2740. Most of the time, people call. They ask questions. They can come and take a look at the facility, and get a a walkthrough. You can also find us online at arthurjohnsonfoundation.org. Go on there and look, and there's pictures in there of the facility, and so it's definitely it's something that's not difficult to find, and we have people coming from various parts of the area, even all the way from Centralia. There's a kid that comes and drives. He just felt that if he could come there, he could get what he needed for his career. And so there's a lot of thought, process behind that for him, because he drives almost an hour and a half to come to practice when he does. So, but from Ferguson and of course, East St. Louis, we have kids from our own area. So we we're not only just when one particular, just for one particular area. We're for the community at large.
I was on your site yesterday on the foundation site. You had merch on there. Is that merch still available? If I get me some Flash swag?
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
Absolutely, man. Yeah.
before we let you out of here, man, So we were talking about your other talents, man. They know you for being a world champion, man. But when we was talking last week, man, you hipped me to something, man. So I want you to tell the people, man, your other hidden talents that we didn't know about. I've been knowing you since the early '80s, man, and
Right.
you never told me about this, man. So what you doing, bro?
Hey, listen, we got a new son out. My grandson, he's just having a clown. He's just having so much fun in there. Come on, Papa, come on. Well, I'll be in there in a minute.
You like
So,
hurry up with
uh,
this.
yeah. So I started singing at age 9,
Hmm.
and a lot of people didn't know that I wrote songs and things of that nature, things of this nature. We have a new song out. It's called "Time Is Changing," and man, what a great song for a time such as this, man. It's a song like that I think the world needs to hear. It's a healing song. We talk about healing, the world needing to be healed, and the world definitely does need to be healed. There's a lot of things on our plate that we're dealing with COVID, we're dealing with racism, systematic racism. I mean, we're dealing with a whole lot of stuff, and this is one of those kind of songs that really kind of cuts through the heart uh, uh, of all of that, because the song itself it has a great message, and even though it has a great message, I kind of find that you might find that some people might be offended by a great message. I mean, the world sometimes we get things mixed up. Sometimes we get it a little twisted when it's really simple. And but yeah, the name of the song is called "Time Is Changing," and it's by Arthur Flash Johnson. Uh, Before I put that out as Arthur Flash Johnson, I was doing music under my real name, Arthur Anthony, which is my real name is Arthur Anthony Johnson, but it was under Arthur Anthony. So I have a lot of music out there under Arthur Anthony. But this is a song that's out there under the name of Arthur Flash Johnson. It's called "Time Is Changing." Awesome song. Again, been writing songs since I was 9, and I think when you write a song like that, that's gotten attention of a lot of people. I think we've gotten over 40,000 streams on SoundCloud, and uh, you have to be able to cultivate that gift. And I think I've had a lot of time to cultivate that gift of writing, and so I'm excited about it. And for all who's watching, uh, uh, um, this interview, go out there, if you will, and just give a listen to the song "Time Is Changing" by Arthur Flash Johnson. It's a it's a tearjerker, and it's an inspirational mover for sure.
Yeah, and that's also on YouTube as well for those that want to know. So, man, yeah, obviously 2020, man, was a heck of a year,
Yeah.
So, and as a songwriter, it takes a lot to, put together the instruments and the background
Yeah.
singers, man. So, what was it? Was there anything that happened in 2020 where you decided, okay, I need to follow this song, not just write it and keep it in my notebook. Like I need to follow this one all the way through. Was there any
Well,
one thing or particular events that made you follow all the way through with this and say, I need to finish this to completion?
right. There was a lot of things that happened. Of course, we had the uh, um, Floyd's murder
Hmm.
in Minnesota. In addition to that, Arbery's, I believe, a case where he was shot running. And so it wasn't me alone. Let me say this too. It wasn't me alone that put this song together. I had the encouragement of my wife. I had a great producer, um, Timothy Chandler, who produced this project. Even though I had written the song 7 years ago, it took someone who had um, the ability to be able to feel what I was saying and to be able to relate that in musical terms. And so I think Timothy Chandler did an awesome job with that. In addition to that, we had, as I said before, my wife, and then my manager Willie Jones, who played a great part. Him and my wife with the background vocals, and as well as Cody Kirkwood, who mastered and mixed this song. So a lot of work went into it, and it's still being you know. going through the hands of a lot of people outside of us to really push this thing to really get it to where it really needs to get to. And my goals and dreams is that it reaches the masses, that it reaches the masses. And I think we're headed toward it reaching the masses. And it's a great message. It's a beautiful message. And I hope I answered your question, by the way.
You did. No, you did.
Yeah,
You did.
yeah.
You
So,
did.
it takes a lot of thought to, uh, uh, this song was written again 7 years ago, and the thing that pushed me was the recent acts of violence and racism, and to get this done. And I think that's what pushed me, because I can remember going into 2020 saying to myself, I've got to get this song out now. And we went through quite a few producers that didn't work out for us. So, and there was a lot of everything put behind this song. And I'm just glad that it's doing what it's doing. Sometimes they say songs like this can take months before they really materialize and come towards on. So I'm excited about it, and I have an expectation that's something that's I'm looking forward to it being met with uh, uh, with ideas that perhaps maybe I didn't think of at first. So that's and that's the good thing, that I'm trying to continue to move forward with the music. And um, I shouldn't say I'm trying to move forward. We are moving forward. So we definitely are moving forward. And I'm just looking forward to see what it does, what it does. And my hope is that to bring about a positive change, man, positive change in our world. And because we definitely need that right now. This is a time for us to heal.
Well, man, we ain't gonna keep you much longer, man. We know you got your grandson over there waiting to get at you. But we really, hey, man, it's really an honor, man. I'm so thankful to interview for you for the second time, although at 30 years apart. Hey, real talk, man. Thank you, man, for
Thank you.
sharing your story, what you've done for the sport of boxing, what you're doing to inspire, classmates like myself. Again, boxing
Thank
being
you.
one of my favorite sports, period, for a myriad of reasons. And man, thank you for giving back to our community, man. What you're doing with those kids, man, in the whole metropolitan area, man. I
Thank you.
admire that. I respect that. It's needed. I love East St. Louis. Always have, always will. And obviously, a lot of people do their thing and split. If they
Yeah.
get famous or whatever, man. You brought it full circle, like you said, man. Not only providing a discipline with the boxing, providing opportunity for young men to express themselves, to be heard, to be listened to get guidance, to get wisdom, to have someone invested in them who's older than them. That means the world. So, man, I really want to say thank you for that, and thank you for doing the song, man. I don't know if you get to perform it different places, man, but let's just see where it goes, but it's
Yeah.
out there. It's out there
Yeah.
for the people, man. So, man,
Thank
hey,
you.
man, we appreciate you. We thank you. And, man, you stay safe, brother.
Hey man, thank you, bro. Hey man, love you, bro. Hey man, it's good to see you and talk to you again, man. And again, we come full circle, man.
We
Full
did.
circle.
We did.
Full circle. And
We did,
hey
man.
man, it was great. I had a lot of fun. And as you said, yeah, my grandson is happy. Hey, Papa, Papa.
Yeah. Go get your grandson, man. It was nice to meet him. And since he meeting governors, like I said, he already out here with governors and stuff, So that's why he wasn't gonna let me be great for too long. That you ain't the governor. Hey man, the best of you and your family, man. Appreciate you, man.
All right, man. Peace, brother.
All right, and that's it for today's show, man. Thank you for joining us. Appreciate you again. If you subscribe to us on our YouTube channel at For Real Though Show, or you can email us at theforrealthoughshow@gmail.com. Stay safe and keep it real, people. Peace.
You too, man. Stay safe.